Hello, everyone. How's it going? I am M.L.S. Weech, and welcome to another weekly edition of the book cover of the week. If you're new to the channel, uh, I go through Amazon and I look at the book covers that stand out to me. I talk about why I like them and how they maybe could be a lot better or even just a little bit better. And then I allow you guys to vote on which ones you like best. Every week they get moved on to book cover of the month. And then later on down the road, we're going to do a book cover of the year. So if you are new to the channel or you've been watching for a while, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, click the link button, click the share button. Basically, if there's any button down there, if you could click that for me, that'd be really great. And if you really want to support me, you can go look at my author profile on Amazon and the link down below as well, and look at my work and see if you'd be interested in any of it. I'm going to get to talk about that here in a little bit. But before I do that, I want to announce the April book cover of the month. This is the first book cover of the month since I started this up after a very long, I think it was like a 2-year hiatus. But the 2021 April book cover of the month is City of Time and Magic by Paula Braxton. This cover had incredible detail. It has beautiful color. I'm not the biggest fan of the font, but it's a truly deserving book cover. Congratulations to Paula Braxton. Congratulations to the designer of the book. It really is a beautiful cover. And I'm glad that I'm doing this again and we get a chance to look at it. So you can see kind of what I thought of it in more detail when it won and in a previous episode. But we're not done announcing winners yet. Indeed, there is another thing to do. The week, I got to go to May. The week 3 book cover of the month. Is that what we're doing? We're not doing that one just yet. We're doing the week 2 May book cover of the month. And I'm very, very happy because the week 2 book cover of the month is my book. It's my new release, Betrayed. You can kind of cry party foul here, but it was voted on by a whopping 100% of the people who voted for it. And if you truly feel like there are some more deserving covers out there, well, then get the word out and get more people to vote. And I'm more than happy to lose to other covers. But don't worry, I don't release a book every week, so it's not going to get too crazy. I was still very proud of this book. I do think it actually holds up. I genuinely I genuinely love this cover, and I genuinely think that it is deserving, and it will go into the May book of the month competition when it drops. And hopefully by then we got some more people following, some more people talking about it, and we will be able to get more support up so that more books, more authors, more book covers get recognized. But now we're on to week 4 in the month of May, which means this is the last book cover of the month of May that we're going to review. I know next week we'll announce week 3's winner, and then we'll start the book cover of the month. But for now, we're just going to look at these covers, and the sizes are going to vary because Amazon uploads them at different rates, different resolutions. So we want to make sure that I try to get the high quality images that I can, but sometimes I get what I'm given. The first book cover is Halobreaker by Shane Silvers. So this cover is pretty dynamic. The detail in the background is actually the most impressive part of this book cover. It's very vibrant. It's got a lot of great energy. I like the detail in the hair as it's flowing out from the model. Look, the light's a little flat. This is a New York Times bestselling author, so they're gonna put the author name more prominently than the title of the book. That's just a very common thing that they do, and it's not the worst thing in the world. It's got nice color. The model is well rendered. It's a very cool looking scene. I think it's a little monochromatic also. That might be by intent because you got that red blazer. We're going to talk more about spot color down the road too. But it's still a very fascinating background, and the rendering of the model deserves some recognition. So I wanted to put it in the bracket and give it some recognition. The next book we're going to talk about is The Sacred Claim by Joe Hartwell. A lot of the covers in, no, I'm not trying to do that. That would be a mistake. There we go. Technical difficulties. A lot of the covers that I talk about this week have more to do with aesthetic feel than design excellence. I typically prefer design excellence. I like it when they stand up for some kind of design reason. Look, this isn't a poorly designed book, but this cover is captivating way more because of the mood that it sets than because of the quality of the design. The text is well placed, it's well chosen, it's well designed. I do love the balance in this particular cover. So it's not like it's completely devoid of any design merit. The color of the brown in what I assume is like an old barn or an old house is a nice warm color that offsets the kind of sepia tone sky. And so that blending all together kind of creates a nice mood that I felt deserved some form of recognition. All right, so the next cover we want to talk about is, again, more relevant because of theme. It's Facing Off by Tanya Ross. And I looked at this and immediately my mind went to the 80s. It went to Stranger Things. The font definitely pulls from that kind of theme. So when a designer says, I want to invoke this kind of nostalgia, and they pull it off, it's well done. It's if you're like me and you were alive during the 80s, this isn't original whatsoever. But because the 80s is coming back in music, it's coming back in clothes, it's coming back in design, that nostalgia tour that we're going on in this current time is really being used to the max. And then it's got this nice figure ground element where you have an image within an image, but the image is framed in a cutout of something, or some might call it a clean select. But the detail in the silhouette that they're using to frame the content inside is very well done. And honestly, I just like the use of color. Whoever designed this really did a lot of research and really understands all the elements that made the 80s kind of what they are. And that alone is deserving of some recognition. And you know what? I was alive and old enough to respect and appreciate the 80s. So I don't, I succumb to the nostalgia that designer was going for. Next book we're going to talk about is The Oath of the Raven by Matthew Angelo. So this image is fantastic use of light, fantastic use of tone, good use of color, nice use of text. I don't know that any one part of this cover stands out, but all of the little things of this cover makes the whole a pretty interesting cover in and of itself. My color blindness causes me to struggle, but that seems to me to be a green cloak. I like the way the shadow falls over it. I really appreciate the duotone kind of chromo film feel that the image itself has. And so it's just a nice solid image, and it's a well rendered, well conceptualized cover that proves that the sum of parts can be worth more than the total can be worth more than the sum of the parts in some cases. One of these days, I'm going to be able to track my metaphors a little more carefully. The next cover we're going to talk about, we talked about this theme a few times, especially when we first got kicked back up. When we're talking about reflection, balance, figure ground, this kind of puts it all together. I like the clever little use of the white and the black. I like the contrast. I like the informal balance of it. I couldn't dislike this text more. It feels thrown in. It's genuinely hard to read in the sense like that. Maybe if they just took the text and spread it out so that the spires didn't collide into the text. And for you designers out there, for you new people who are thinking about design, um, you want to be aware overlapping elements. You want to be aware things on top of things, and you want to be much more aware when what you're overlapping is text, because the human eye wants to focus on stuff. And so when you put stuff behind or on top of or around text, be very cautious you're not hurting the readability. And that's kind of what's happening in this book by Katie Civitelli, I believe is how you pronounce that name. The image itself, with the exception of the text, is still kind of a clever use of it. It implies a dual world or duplane. I talked about Spellmaker. Spellmaker was actually in the April book cover of the month. It was a very, very deserving cover, and it came very close to winning. Obviously, it executed a little better, but this design pulls from that same concept, and so it's well conceived. And so that's worthy of some note. All right, next cover we're going to talk about. I mentioned we're talking about spot color today, and that's what's going on with Coup d'etat from the Immortal Doc Holiday series by M.M. Crumley. So this splash of red in the background really does a lot to create an interesting backdrop that helps separate the figure, I assume is Doc Holiday, from the cover. The Doc Holiday image is very well done. It creates a nice aesthetic, but the most interesting part about it is that contrast created by that, I'm assuming, blood splatter in the back. I love the series title text. The Immortal Doc Holiday. It's replicable. It's going to be noticeable. Fans of this series are going to see it and notice it immediately. I'm really not a fan of the individual title text where it says coup d'etat. First off, red is very, very hard to read, and it's even more hard to read when it's on black. So those weren't the best choices, but everything else still works well. And this cover does have a nice example of that spot color. It's actually more effective than Halobreaker up in the that we did earlier on, the first cover we did. But it's still a solid image. And the last book cover we're going to talk about this week is Unsuspecting Trouble by Sarah Nottke and Michael Anderle. Now, I've already talked about Michael Anderle. One of his previous books was in one of these series. And what's happening is the light is well done here. I like the little flares of light. I like how the Powerball or whatever it's going to be is helping to illuminate. I don't think it was as good as it could have been, because the light coming from her hand is yellow and the light on her face is white. And that's not really, I mean, obviously it's fantasy, but you want your fantasy covers to be great. And the art themselves has to obey the laws of physics, even though nothing in the book may or may not obey those laws. So while the shadowing and the color are interesting, I think this would have found another level if the light was matching the color that the light source has. I'm also not a fan of this kind of rodeo looking font text that they're using, but it's not enough to take away from a well-designed figure, an interesting looking fantasy scene, and a good understanding of light and art. Backlighting a subject is I'm a huge fan of backlights. I love it in portrait photography. Any of the portrait photography that I do, I almost always include a backlight because it really separates the figure or the subject of the photo from the background, and it creates that nice rim light you see around her shoulders and her arms. And so all of those are very, very solid design techniques. That is the 7th book cover. I'm interested to know what you guys think. By all means, you can always leave comments on below. I know my throat's a little raspy. I've actually been playing kickball like all day. So I've been doing a lot of shouting and running around, and my throat's just about had it. I hope you'd enjoyed it for the week. Please remember to go down and vote for your favorite of these covers. And when the book cover of the month comes out, vote for that. Share it, tell your friends, and I will see you in the next episode. God be with you. Bye now.